Title: The Girl They Left in the Rain. She waited for them under the streetlight. Hours passed, the rain fell harder, but they never came. By morning, the place where she stood was empty, except for a single locket glistening in the mud. No one knows what truly happened that night, only that Elara was never the same again. They thought they could walk away and forget. But the rain remembers everything. Every drop hides a secret. Every thunderclap echoes a name she swore never to speak. And when the truth finally comes to light, someone will wish they hadn't left her behind. They said they'd never leave her, but the storm kept the evidence. Watch till the end, because the night she was left in the rain was only the beginning. Welcome back, Moonlight Dreamers, and if you're new, welcome to our channel where you don't find captivating stories, it finds you. If you love romantic tales that stir your heart and haunt your sleep, make sure to like, subscribe, and let the moon guide you home each night. Let's dive back into our story. They say rain washes things away. Blood, lies, even memories. But that night, under the dying glow of a streetlight, the rain didn't cleanse anything. It kept the evidence. Elara stood alone on the cracked pavement, her umbrella long since surrendered to the wind. The night hissed around her. Every drop of rain struck like a ticking clock counting down to something she couldn't name. Adrian had promised. One last meeting before everything changed. Mira had sworn she'd come too. Two voices she trusted more than her own heartbeat, now swallowed by thunder. She checked her phone again. No signal, no messages. Only the reflection of her own trembling face in the shattered screen. The city had gone silent except for the hum of a flickering streetlight above her head. A memory flashed. Adrian's hand slipping a silver locket into hers that morning. "If it rains," he'd whispered, "don't move until we come back." She had laughed then, not knowing the order was a goodbye. Hours bled into dawn. The storm eased, leaving behind the smell of iron and dust. When she finally looked down, the locket lay half buried in mud at her feet, its chain broken clean through as if ripped away. Her chest tightened. The street was empty, tire marks half erased by puddles. Somewhere in the distance, a door slammed. She turned, heart hammering, eyes scanning the gray horizon. "Adrian?" Her voice was a whisper lost to wind. No answer, only the soft crackle of electricity from the streetlight. Then she saw it. Across the road, through the veil of rain, a tall figure stood beneath an umbrella black as the storm itself. Still, watching. Lightning split the sky, and for a breathless instant, the world froze. In the stranger's gloved hand glimmered something small, metallic, another locket, identical to hers. Before she could move or speak, the light above her flickered once, twice, and died. Darkness swallowed the street, leaving only the sound of rain and the faint click of the stranger's footsteps drawing closer. When Elara opened her eyes, the rain was gone, but the world still dripped. Not water this time, time itself. White light seared her vision. The smell of disinfectant replaced the scent of wet asphalt. A heart monitor beeped beside her like a clock reminding her she was still alive. Bandages wrapped her wrist, her clothes replaced with a hospital gown. The last thing she remembered was the stranger's footsteps. And then, nothing. A nurse noticed her stirring. "You're lucky, miss. Found unconscious near Holloway Street. No ID, just this." She held up the broken locket in a plastic bag. Elara's throat ached. "Where's Adrian? Mira?" The nurse frowned. "There's no record of anyone else. Police said you were alone." Detective Rains entered. Broad shoulders, eyes like fog. "Miss Elara Wynne, you claim 2 people met you last night. Any witnesses?" "They promised they'd come," she whispered. "Someone was watching us." He sighed. "Street was empty, no prints, no vehicles, no CCTV. Maybe you fainted in the storm." "Hysteria," he called it. Case closed. But when he left, she noticed something impossible. Mud streaks on her wrist shaped like fingers. Someone had dragged her. Her phone lay in an evidence tray, waterlogged but alive. She powered it on. The screen flickered, glitching between icons. One file caught her eye. 12:47 a.m. Deleted. Her pulse quickened. That was during the blackout. She tried restoring it. Access denied. Then, a voice message autoplayed. Static, and then a whisper that made her blood run cold. Run before they find you. Adrian's voice. The monitor beside her flatlined for a second, then resumed. The lights dimmed. Across the room, her locket bag twitched on its own, sliding slowly toward the floor. A drop of rain fell from the ceiling, though the roof was sealed. Elara froze, eyes wide. Her phone buzzed again. One new message, 12:47 a.m. We never left you. The clock on the wall stopped ticking. Some places remember. No matter how much you try to forget, the ground beneath your feet keeps the truth buried, just deep enough to make you doubt your sanity. By dusk, Elara stood once more beneath the flickering streetlight. The rain had returned, softer this time, whispering secrets against her coat. The police tape fluttered in the wind, a thin yellow scar across the night. She ducked under it. The world felt wrong here. Too still, too watchful. She crouched where she'd fallen. Her own footprints had faded, but others, fresher ones, trailed toward the alleyway. Larger, heavier, and halfway through the mud they just stopped. No turnaround, no continuation, as if whoever walked here had simply vanished into the rain. She knelt and touched the last print. The puddle inside was warm. Looking for something? The voice startled her. A stooped old man leaned in the doorway of a nearby shop, its neon sign buzzing dimly. I was here that night, he said, eyes narrowing. Saw a car stop right over there. 2 people inside, a girl with long hair driving. Mira? Elara's voice cracked. The man nodded slowly. Could be. She looked frightened. Then the engine died and then the lights went out. Elara felt the air thicken. Did you see where they went? He hesitated. No. When I looked again, the car was gone. Just gone. The rain intensified, pounding like a heartbeat. Lightning flared, illuminating the street for a brief blinding instant, and something glimmered in the gutter near the curb. She ran toward it, heart hammering. The object was tangled in debris, half submerged in dirty rainwater. When she pulled it free, the world seemed to hold its breath. A delicate silver chain, broken. The charm on it unmistakable. A small moon-shaped bracelet engraved with Mira's name. But beneath the engraving, blood. Dried, dark, and unmistakably real. Elara's breath hitched. Her knees weakened. A car engine rumbled faintly behind her. She turned slowly. The same black umbrella from that night stood at the far end of the street. The stranger hadn't moved, only watched. Thunder rolled like a warning. The bracelet slipped from Elara's trembling hand, landing in the puddle, and as it sank, she saw 2 reflections. Hers, and someone standing right behind her. They say the rain hides more than footprints. It hides confessions, too. And tonight, the man who'd been watching her finally stepped out of the storm. Elara Wynne. The voice was deep, steady, like thunder heard from far away. The stranger stood beneath his black umbrella, face shadowed, coat dripping silver trails onto the pavement. Elara froze. Who are you? He lowered the umbrella just enough for her to see the faint scar tracing his jaw. Someone who knows why Adrian vanished, he said quietly, and why you weren't supposed to remember. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but his tone wasn't threatening. It was tired, burdened. Why were you following me? She demanded. Because you kept coming back here, he replied. And because the rain doesn't forget people like you. He reached into his coat pocket and withdrew a sealed envelope, its edges softened by moisture. I was told to give you this, Adrian wrote it, but never sent it. Her fingers trembled as she tore it open. Inside, Adrian's handwriting slanted across the page, rushed, uneven, desperate. Elara, if you're reading this, it means the plan went wrong. Don't trust anyone near Holloway Street, not even Mira. The ink was smeared there, as if the rain itself had tried to erase the truth. She looked up, heart pounding. Where did you get this? From the place he was last seen, Draven said. But by then the car was empty. She took a step closer. You said you know why he vanished. Tell me. He studied her for a long moment, the storm reflected in his eyes. Because Adrian was never meant to meet you that night, he said. He broke something by doing so, something that's been trying to fix itself ever since. The streetlight flickered. What are you talking about? She whispered. Draven sighed, turning away. You'll understand soon. But if I were you, I'd stop looking before it rains again. She glanced back at the letter, squinting under the dim light. The bottom half had bled through, the ink darker, almost carved into the paper. The final word sent a shiver down her spine. If you're reading this, it means she betrayed us both. A gust of wind ripped the letter from her hands, scattering it into the rain. When she looked up, Draven was gone, but the echo of his warning lingered like thunder trapped in her chest. Sometimes the truth doesn't hide in shadows. It hides between the lines. And tonight, Elara was about to read what the rain tried to erase. Back in her apartment, the letter lay on the table, edges curled, ink smeared into chaos. But Elara couldn't stop staring at it. Something about the stains looked deliberate, patterns instead of random watermarks. She turned off the lights, lit a candle, and tilted the paper. Under the dim glow, faint letters shimmered just beneath the main text. A code, numbers, coordinates. Her pulse quickened as she entered them into her phone. The map zoomed out, pointing to a remote stretch of woodland 30 miles outside the city. A cabin, no roads marked, no address listed. Adrian had left her a trail. By midnight she was there. The rain had followed her again, relentless, drumming against the windshield as if trying to hold her back. The cabin stood at the edge of the woods, windows boarded, door padlocked but rusted through. Inside, the air smelled of dust and forgotten things. She switched on her phone's flashlight. Papers covered the desk, strings of photos pinned across the wall, and at the center, her. Images of Elara at bus stops, cafes, walking home, each one dated and labeled in neat handwriting. Some from months ago, some from just days before the storm. Her hands trembled as she picked one up. She hadn't known anyone was watching. Adrian, she whispered. What were you doing? Thunder cracked outside. She shuffled through more photos, and then froze. One picture lay slightly apart from the rest, as if someone had tried to hide it. She turned it over slowly. The date written on the back chilled her blood. The night before the storm. In the photograph, Adrian stood beneath the very same streetlight where she'd waited for him. But he wasn't alone. Beside him stood Draven, his face half-shadowed, the black umbrella unmistakable. Her breath caught, the candle flickered, the shadows in the room stretching unnaturally long. She turned, and for an instant, she swore she saw that same black umbrella leaning in the corner of the cabin, dripping though no one had entered. The rain outside grew louder, pounding against the windows as if something was trying to get in. And then, her phone buzzed. A new message. You shouldn't have found that photo, Elara. The power went out. Some fires start with a spark. Others start with a secret trying too hard to stay buried. That night, the rain came too late to stop what was already burning. Elara barely had time to turn toward the window when the air shifted, thick, metallic, humming with static. A flash. Then, silence shattered into thunder and flame. The cabin erupted, heat swallowing the room in an instant. Elara was thrown back, crashing against the floor as shards of wood and glass rained down. Her ears rang, smoke filled her lungs. The world tilted, flickering red and orange. Through the chaos, a hand gripped her wrist, strong, pulling her through the doorway as the roof caved in behind them. When she gasped for air, the first face she saw was his. Draven? He was covered in soot, coat torn, eyes burning like the fire behind him. "Don't speak," he said. "Move." They stumbled into the rain, collapsing onto the mud as the cabin roared in flames. Sirens echoed faintly in the distance. By dawn, the fire was out, but the questions had only begun. Elara sat shivering under a police blanket as officers combed through the wreckage. Draven was gone. No one claimed to have seen him at all. Detective Rains returned, jaw tight. "You were found alone, and the accelerant traces matched the floor where you were standing. Care to explain?" "It wasn't me," she whispered. "Someone planted it." He raised an eyebrow. "Someone who conveniently vanished, right?" Her protests fell flat against his stare. To them, she was the storm in human form, unpredictable, unstable, guilty. Hours later, in the sterile police interview room, she sat alone with her phone returned to her for evidence review. It buzzed once. An anonymous number. She hesitated before opening it. The message was short. Too short. "The rain didn't start the fire. You did." Her breath hitched. She looked up at the one-way mirror, certain she wasn't alone on the other side. Then the lights flickered. A faint smell of smoke drifted through the vent above her head. But there was no fire this time. Just the faint echo of rain tapping against the glass, though outside the sky was clear. She whispered to herself, voice trembling, "What are you?" No answer came. Only another buzz. This time, the message contained a single image, the burned remains of the cabin floor, and a footprint, unmistakably hers, outlined in ash. Sometimes the answers we hunt for in the world are already written at home, waiting, quietly, for the courage to be read. Elara hadn't set foot in her childhood house in 12 years. The key still fit, though the lock protested. Dust veiled every corner like cobwebbed memory. Rain whispered against the old windows. Every creak of the floorboards felt like her mother's voice calling her name. She came here because the message, the one accusing her, had mentioned the address hidden in its data code. A clue inside a threat. In her mother's room, the air smelled faintly of lavender and thyme. A drawer stuck halfway. When she pulled it open, something slid out. A small leather-bound book, water-stained, initials EW pressed into its cover. Her mother's handwriting bled across the pages in slanted ink. June 4th. Draven came again today. Your father trusts him, though I never will. The veil is moving faster than we expected. If they ever find out about Elara. The next lines were crossed out violently. Elara's heart pounded. Her father? She had grown up believing he died before she was born. July 12th. They said the veil protects the rain. Lies. It controls it. Your father thinks he can end it, but he's already part of it. Each word felt heavier than the one before. Draven. Her father. The veil. The same storm that had ruined her life might have begun long before she was even alive. A floorboard groaned behind her. She spun, clutching the diary to her chest. Draven stood in the doorway. No umbrella. No shadow to hide behind this time. His coat was soaked through. The rain seemed to follow him inside. "How long have you been watching me?" she demanded. "Long enough to know you shouldn't have found that," he said softly, nodding at the diary. "What is the veil? Why did my mother write about you?" He stepped closer, his voice a low rumble of thunder. "Because I worked for your father." Elara froze. "My father's dead." Draven's gaze held hers, steady, unflinching. "No, he isn't." The lights flickered as thunder cracked overhead. Draven's final words dropped like stones in water. "Your father isn't dead, Elara. He's the reason they left you that night. Before she could breathe a word, every window shattered at once, and rain poured inside the house as if the storm itself had come to listen. Every secret has a shadow, and when you chase it long enough, you find out it's been chasing you too. Rain hammered the windows as Draven spoke, his voice a storm of its own. "The veil," he said, "isn't a myth. It's a system. A network hidden inside governments, corporations, even hospitals. Their business isn't money, it's memory." Elara gripped the diary tighter. "Memory? They rewrite what people shouldn't remember," he continued, "for the powerful who can't afford guilt or witnesses." The words sank like stones in her chest. "So Adrian and Mira, they worked for them," Draven admitted. "Agents, reconstructors, until the night they turned against the order. They tried to leak evidence." Elara's breath caught. "And that's why they disappeared?" Draven's eyes darkened. "The veil doesn't kill its own. It edits them out." Lightning tore open the sky, illuminating his face. Too calm, too sure. She stepped back. "Then what are you, Draven? A survivor? Or one of them?" "I walked away long before the storm," he said, but the hesitation in his voice cracked his mask. Something wasn't aligning. The diary, the photographs, the letter, all pointed toward him being closer to Adrian than he'd admitted. "You're still hiding something," she whispered. He didn't deny it. "There are things about that night you're not ready to know." The room fell silent except for the pulse of rain against the broken glass. Her phone vibrated on the table. Unknown number. No signal icon glowing. Draven frowned. "Don't answer that." But she already had. Static hissed. Then, "Elara." The voice was faint, trembling, familiar. Her heart stopped. "Mira." "It's me." The whisper came, almost drowned beneath the sound of rain. "Listen carefully. Whatever he's told you, it's a lie. Don't trust Draven." Elara's grip tightened. "You're alive, where are you?" A pause. Then 6 words that froze her blood. "He's the one who erased you." The line cut to silence. Elara turned to Draven, horror widening her eyes. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stared at her phone, rain dripping from his sleeve though they were indoors. Then he said quietly, almost regretfully, "They found her." Before she could ask what he meant, the lights blew out, plunging the house into darkness. And outside, a dozen headlights flickered on through the storm, forming a perfect circle around them. Some truths don't live in the light. They hide in the places you've been forced to forget. The message came at 3:03 a.m. from Mira's number. "If you want answers, come alone. Coordinates attached." Elara didn't hesitate. She drove until the city lights disappeared and the night swallowed the road. Mist curled like ghostly ribbons as she reached the coordinates. An abandoned power plant, its gate unmarked, humming faintly beneath the rain. Inside, a hidden elevator waited. The panel flickered to life when she stepped close, whispering words she didn't understand. "Access, Veil Memory Archive." The elevator sank deep beneath the earth. Walls of glass revealed brief flashes of light, fragments floating in the dark like trapped fireflies. Faces, moments, voices, all suspended in liquid memory. When the doors opened, she stepped into a corridor lined with mirrors and flickering screens. Each showed lives she didn't recognize, until one screen glowed brighter than the rest. It was her, standing in the rain, smiling faintly, handing Adrian the locket. Her throat tightened. "That's not possible. I never—" A voice behind her cut through the air. "You did, you just don't remember." Mira emerged from the shadows, her face pale, trembling. "They made me hide it from you, Elara. The veil used us both. That night you gave Adrian the locket. But it wasn't a gift. It was a key." Elara's heart pounded. "A key to what?" "The room," Mira whispered. "The one that holds everything they erased, including you." Elara turned back to the screen. The footage glitched, and for a split second, She saw herself screaming as a blinding light engulfed the frame. She staggered back. What did they take from me? Mira's eyes glistened. Your memory of who you really are. A faint hum grew behind her, the screen flickering wildly. The reflection in the glass shifted. Someone was standing there. Elara froze. Slowly, she turned. Adrian stood in the doorway, alive, older, colder, wearing the same black coat as Draven. The light from the monitors bathed his face in blue as he whispered, "You shouldn't have come here." The screens burst into static. The elevator sealed itself, and in the darkness, Elara finally realized the man she'd been searching for might be the one she was meant to destroy. Love can heal, but when it's built on deceit, it becomes the sharpest knife of all. The hum of the memory room faded to silence. Only the echo of dripping water filled the space. Elara faced Adrian, her pulse trembling in her throat. He looked the same, yet not. His eyes carried the weight of years she couldn't remember. "Why didn't you come for me?" she whispered. Adrian's jaw clenched. "Because they would have erased you again. You weren't supposed to survive the trial." "The trial?" she repeated, her voice cracking. He stepped closer, his expression torn between guilt and longing. "That night in the rain, it wasn't an accident. You were chosen, Elara. You were part of it. The veil was testing a full consciousness transfer, erasing the past to rewrite the soul." Her stomach twisted. "And I was your experiment?" Adrian flinched. "No, you were my reason. I tried to stop it, but you said yes before you even knew what it meant. You wanted to forget what they did to your father." The words hit her like thunder. "You knew about my father?" He hesitated. "I worked for him." The air between them shattered. Elara staggered back, voice trembling. "You lied to me. Every second, every promise." Adrian's hand trembled as he reached for her. "I lied to keep you alive." A soft laugh echoed behind them. Mira stepped into the light, her face half hidden beneath the hood of the veil's insignia. "Oh, Adrian," she said softly. "You always did love her too much to finish the job." Elara froze. "Mira, what are you talking about?" Mira smiled, eyes gleaming with something cruel. "Do you really think I wanted to save you? You were the prototype, Elara, the first vessel. But when you vanished, they needed a new one, someone better." Her hand reached for the glowing console, and Elara's face appeared on the monitor beside hers. Two identical images, one real, one reconstructed. Adrian's voice broke. "Mira, don't..." Mira turned, her voice trembling with dark triumph. "I didn't plan to rescue you, Elara. I planned to replace you." The lights flickered red. The floor beneath them vibrated as alarms screamed through the facility. Mira pressed a command. The screens fractured, Elara's digital image dissolving into static. Elara lunged toward her, shouting, "What are you doing?" Mira's smirk deepened. "Erasing the original." A blinding surge of light swallowed the room, and when it faded, only one voice whispered through the static, "Which one of you survived?" The scariest thing about losing yourself is realizing someone else might still be wearing your face. The world returned in fragments, blinding light, burning metal, voices shouting over sirens. Elara gasped awake on a cold floor, her reflection rippling faintly on shattered glass beside her. Then came the memories. Flashes, hands strapping her down, the sterile scent of anesthesia, whispers through masks. "Initiating transfer. Begin sync." Her pulse roared in her ears. She saw a mirror above her, her own face staring back, but her eyes weren't moving. She staggered up, clutching her temples as pain split her skull. No, this isn't real. The lights flickered back to life. The facility was in ruins, consoles sparking, screens dripping with half-corrupted code. A faint trail of footprints, her own, led toward the exit. She followed them through a corridor lined with fractured mirrors. Each reflection showed her a little differently, one crying, one laughing, one bleeding. And then, a voice. Calm, steady. Now you see what they did to you. Draven stepped out of the smoke, his coat soaked, a faint cut across his cheek. Elara backed away. You knew. I suspected, he said grimly. You were the first successful reconstruction, consciousness rebuilt from memory fragments of the original Elara. Her breathing quickened. You're lying. Draven's expression didn't change. I wish I were. He held up a worn photograph, edges scorched by fire. Two women stood side by side in the image, both identical, both her. Elara's hands trembled as she took the photo. Her mind screamed for logic, but the truth whispered louder. The one on the left wore a hospital bracelet. The other, a ring Adrian once gave her. Which one am I? She asked, her voice hollow. Draven's gaze darkened. That's what we need to find out, before the other one does. A low hum rose from somewhere deep beneath them, a heartbeat pulsing through the facility walls. Draven turned sharply. She's awake. Elara's reflection in the broken glass smiled back at her, but Elara hadn't moved. The lights died. The room went black. And then, from behind her reflection's voice whispered, You took my life, Elara. Now I'm taking it back. Some rescues aren't about saving the other person. They're about proving you still have a soul. The night had teeth. Rain hammered the glass dome of the Vale's abandoned headquarters as Elara and Draven slipped through the lower corridors. The deeper they went, the colder the air grew, filled with the hum of forgotten machines still alive somewhere in the dark. Draven's voice was low. Level 7 was sealed after the experiments. If she's still down here... Elara's eyes hardened. Then I'm bringing her out. Every flicker of light revealed faded words on the wall. Project, Eclipse, Human Mirror, Prototype. Her stomach clenched. That was me. They reached a rusted door marked Subject 01. The lock had corroded, but behind it faint breathing echoed. Soft, rhythmic, almost calm. Elara hesitated, hand trembling on the handle. If she's the original, what happens when she sees me? Draven's gaze flicked toward her reflection in the metal door. Maybe she already has. Elara pushed the door open. The air inside was thick with cold mist. A single light swung above a cracked mirror and a narrow cell. And there, sitting cross-legged on the floor, was her. The other Elara, alive, pale, but her eyes burned with awareness. Elara stepped closer, heart racing. You're me. The girl looked up slowly, smiling with unsettling calm. No, you're what they built when they thought I was gone. Draven froze at the doorway, whispering, She knows. Elara's throat tightened. I came to help you, to set you free. The original tilted her head, studying her double like a reflection she'd missed. You shouldn't have come. Elara's voice broke. Why? The girl's faint smile deepened, not cruel, but knowing. Because I was waiting for you. The room's monitors flickered on, every wall filled with recordings, both Elara's, side by side in past experiments. Their voices overlapped in haunting synchrony. Draven's radio crackled. Security breach detected. Someone activated the merge protocol. The light above them burst, and as darkness swallowed the cell, only one voice whispered through the static. Let's see which one of us survives the storm. Sometimes the hardest person to trust is the one who shares your heartbeat. Two identical Elaras faced each other in the flickering light of the basement cell. One trembling, the other eerily calm. The hum of the failing power system echoed like a heartbeat, syncing with their ragged breaths. The original's voice broke the silence. You shouldn't exist. The copy stepped forward, defiant. And yet I do. You were locked away, forgotten. I lived your life. I became you. The original's lips curved faintly. Then why do you still feel incomplete? The words hit like a blade. The copy's hand brushed against the locket at her throat, the only piece of herself she still trusted. Draven moved between them, eyes shifting from one to the other. We don't have time for this, security's closing in. The copy turned to him. Help me get her out. The original laughed softly. She can't save me, she isn't me. Then came footsteps. Fast, deliberate. Mira. Her presence filled the corridor like a spark in dry air. She glanced between them, expression unreadable. Elara, she said, we have to move. They're coming. Both Elaras stepped forward at once. Which one are you talking to? Mira hesitated, just a heartbeat. But it was enough. The lights flickered. A gunshot rang. Smoke filled the room. When the haze cleared, only one Elara stood beside Mira. The other was gone, along with Draven. Mira grabbed her arm. We have to run. The surviving Elara's voice trembled. You chose me. Mira's eyes softened, though her words cut cold. Did I? Hours later, rain lashed against the city. Mira led her through the underground tunnels, both silent, both drenched in guilt and exhaustion. But as they surfaced into the empty streets, a screen flickered on in a shop window nearby, a breaking news report. Authorities have recovered a body from the Revan River early this morning. The victim, identified as Elara Vale, appears to have drowned. The Elara beside Mira froze. The world seemed to tilt. Her voice came out as a whisper. But I'm right here. Mira's face turned toward her, unreadable. The reflection in the glass screen didn't match the woman standing beside her. One, Elara, was dead, but which one was she now? Some truths don't break you instantly. They bleed through the cracks until all that's left is the lie you've been living. The rain hadn't stopped since the broadcast. Draven stood by the riverbank, the current glowing faintly under the city's neon haze. Rescue lights flashed across the water as a sheet-covered body was lifted onto the embankment. He stared at the pale hand that slipped free, slender, familiar, and at the silver chain tangled between her fingers. Elara's locket. A paramedic lifted the chain toward him. Next of kin? Draven's jaw tightened. Something like that. When the coroner scanned the body's fingerprints, the tablet glitched, cycling between mismatched records. The system couldn't decide who she was. Prints don't match any living citizen, the officer said. She's not in the registry. Draven's eyes darkened. No, she's in their registry. Later, inside an abandoned observatory overlooking the river, Draven connected his tablet to the Vale's archived servers. Screens flickered alive, revealing layers of encrypted data labeled Eclipse Project, Subject Variance 0107. Elara stood beside him, trembling. Variance? What does that mean? Draven hesitated, then whispered, It means you weren't the only one they made. She stared at him, disbelief turning to horror. You said I was the first. I thought you were, he said softly. Until tonight. He pulled up a file. 7 profiles appeared, each bearing her face, her DNA, slight changes in eye color, blood type, or memory signature. Elara's voice broke. They copied me. Draven's gaze fell to the river below. They copied her. The air thickened with silence. Elara stepped closer, tears mingling with the rain. Who was she, Draven? The one they made me from. He turned to her slowly, the mask of composure slipping. I didn't tell you everything because I couldn't. Elara's pulse quickened. What do you mean? Draven's voice cracked, raw and human for the first time. The real Elara Vale wasn't a subject. She was my wife. Her breath caught, the world collapsing inward. You lied to me, she whispered. Draven's eyes filled with sorrow. No. I loved you. Both of you. But one of you isn't supposed to exist. Thunder cracked overhead as the power cut out, plunging them into darkness. and in the silence that followed, a faint, familiar voice whispered from the broken comms unit. "Hello, Draven. It's me, your wife." Sometimes the person you loved most wasn't protecting you. They were selling your soul, one secret at a time. Elara moved through the abandoned financial district, her reflection flickering in shattered glass. Draven's revelation about his wife still haunted her, but a new file she'd uncovered on the Vale's servers screamed louder. Adrian Vale, confidential transfers. Her hands shook as she scrolled through encrypted transactions. Millions of credits, all tagged under ghost corporations. Each payment coincided with the disappearance of another subject. Draven leaned over her shoulder, face pale. "These aren't just bribes. He was selling your data." Elara froze. "My memories?" Draven's silence was her answer. Every image, every emotion she thought was hers alone, traded like a commodity. Her voice cracked. "He used me to erase himself." Elara traced one of Adrian's payment routes through an offshore data channel. At the end was a single phrase: Project Clean Slate, subject Adrian Vale. Draven's expression hardened. He was buying deletion, removing his criminal past from every archive. Murder, espionage, blackmail, all rewritten. Elara's heart pounded. And the cost was me. The thunder outside deepened. A shadow moved on one of the security feeds, someone limping down an alley behind the observatory. Draven zoomed in. Adrian, alive, barely. They found him slumped against a wall, blood darkening his shirt, the rain washing crimson trails into the gutter. His eyes fluttered open as Elara knelt beside him. "Elara?" His voice was brittle, broken. "You weren't supposed to know." Her tears mixed with the rain. "You sold me, Adrian." "For what? Forgiveness?" He coughed, a harsh laugh escaping. "There's no forgiveness. Not from her." Draven's eyes narrowed. "Who?" Adrian's gaze drifted past them, toward the mouth of the alley. His voice fell to a whisper. Desperate, terrified. "She's coming for you next." Lightning split the sky. Adrian's pulse stopped. Elara turned slowly toward the alley's darkness, and for an instant she saw movement. A woman's silhouette, tall, familiar, watching through the storm. The light flashed again, and she was gone. Only her echo remained in the thunder. "You took my life once, Elara. This time, I'm taking yours." The rain had always followed Elara, but tonight it hunted her. The city was a labyrinth of reflections, puddles, mirrors, glass towers blinking with fractured light. Somewhere among them, her pursuer moved like a ghost. Elara ran, her breath visible in the cold night. Behind her, footsteps echoed, deliberate, patient, almost graceful. Then a whisper cut through the wind. "You can't hide from what you are." A figure appeared at the end of the street, cloaked in white, her face hidden beneath a hood that glowed faintly beneath the streetlights. The woman in white. Bullets shattered the neon signs as Elara ducked into an abandoned subway station. The rails gleamed wet, humming faintly from distant current. Her heart pounded. Every instinct screamed to run. But something about the assassin's movements felt familiar. Elara slipped into the tunnels, weaving through graffiti and dripping pipes. She stopped near a maintenance corridor, catching her breath, then reached for the small pistol Draven had given her. The woman in white descended silently from the shadows behind her. Elara turned, gun raised, only to hesitate. Beneath the hood, a face emerged, pale, wet, and unmistakably human. Her eyes, cold blue, identical to Mira's. "Who sent you?" Elara demanded. The woman's lips curved faintly. "You did." Confusion rippled through Elara's mind. "What?" The assassin stepped closer, pulling down her hood fully. "I'm Lyra," she said softly. "Mira's twin. The veil erased me first, but she made sure I remembered everything they took from her." Elara's hand trembled on the trigger. "Why are you hunting me?" Lyra tilted her head, her tone both sorrowful and strange. Because you're walking the same path we did, and the rain always ends the same way. Elara's voice broke. What do you mean? Lyra leaned in, close enough that Elara could see the raindrops clinging to her lashes. Her whisper was almost tender. You're not the first girl they left in the rain. Before Elara could respond, a dart hissed from the darkness, striking Lyra in the neck. She collapsed, whispering one final word through blood and rain. Run. Elara turned toward the echoing tunnels and saw multiple red lights emerging from the shadows. Dozens of them. The veil had found her. Storms had always followed her, but this one began inside her mind. Elara's eyes fluttered open to the sterile white glow of a laboratory. The hum of machines pulsed like distant thunder. Her wrists were bound to a chair, smooth restraints that tightened with every movement. On the glass wall before her, symbols scrolled endlessly. Operation Rainfall, Phase 7th. A voice crackled through the intercom. Cold. Clinical. Subject 07 is conscious. Begin memory extraction. Her pulse surged. Subject 07. The number branded across every file she'd found in Draven's possession. A figure entered the room. Not a guard. Not a scientist. Draven himself. He looked exhausted, like a man drowning in his own secrets. Elara, he said quietly. You were never supposed to remember this place. She struggled against the restraints. What is Operation Rainfall? Draven hesitated. It began as a way to simulate trauma, to study how emotional pain rewrites memory. But they didn't just test subjects. They rebuilt them. Images flickered on the screen, faces, rooms, storms. People crying under rain that never touched the ground. Her own face appeared, younger, terrified, screaming. She watched herself being injected, memories dissolving in blue light. You erased me, she whispered. Draven's voice cracked. No, I tried to save you. He pressed a code on the console. Another file opened. Primary subject, 01. A video began to play. Surveillance from decades ago. A woman strapped to a chair, eyes filled with defiance and grief. Elara froze. She knew that face. The same eyes that watched over her in dreams. The same voice that whispered lullabies before the world turned cruel. Her mother. Draven's words fell like rain against glass. She was the first. The experiment that made all of this possible. You weren't chosen at random, Elara. You were built to finish what she began. The lights flickered. An alarm sounded. Across the monitors, a shadow moved within a sealed chamber labeled Subject 01, Active. Her mother's head turned slowly toward the cameras and smiled. Welcome back, my daughter. The rain returned, louder, heavier, and eerily familiar. It wasn't just weather anymore. It was the past, falling from the sky to reclaim what was stolen. Lightning tore open the heavens, flooding the city in sheets of white fire. Sirens wailed across distant streets as the storm swallowed everything. The same coordinates, the same hour, the same pattern as the night she was left in the rain. Elara drove through the chaos, headlights slicing through the downpour. The roads leading to the Veil's headquarters were already submerged, but she didn't slow down. Draven's warning echoed in her head. If she wakes completely, there will be no turning back. She reached the black monolith of glass and steel that was the Veil. Alarms blared. Guards scrambled to seal lower floors, but floodwaters had already breached the facility. Elara slipped through a maintenance shaft, every lightning flash illuminating her trembling face. Inside, screens flickered between static and memories. Her memories, looping like broken dreams. Each step deeper into the flooded corridors felt like walking through her own subconscious. At the heart of the complex stood the core room. Behind layers of glass and humming cables, she saw it, the central pod glowing with a ghostly blue light. Elara approached slowly. Inside the chamber lay a woman, pale and serene, tubes connecting her veins to the pulsing servers around her. Her hair floated slightly in the liquid suspension, strands of silver that shimmered like threads of lightning. Her mother. Monitors displayed endless sequences of memories, storms, laughter, sorrow, rewinds of Elara's life, over and over again. It wasn't data, it was emotion. Her mother wasn't just trapped in the system. She was the system. She's powering it, Elara whispered. She's the memory source. A synthetic voice echoed overhead. Unauthorized access detected. Memory core breach imminent. The ground shook. Water burst through the doors, shorting out the lights. Sparks danced across the metal floor. Elara slammed her palms against the glass, desperate. Her mother's eyes fluttered open, calm, knowing. "You shouldn't have come, my child," she murmured through the intercom. "The rain wasn't meant to save you. It was meant to choose you." Before Elara could respond, alarms flared red. Core override flood protocol activated. The chamber began to drain as her mother's pulse flatlined on the monitor. And the servers came alive with her voice whispering through every speaker. "If you want the truth, Elara, drown with me." They said memories fade like rain on glass. But Elara learned the truth. The rain doesn't forget. It only waits until you're ready to drown in what you've buried. The Veil's control room trembled beneath torrents of stormwater. Sparks flared from broken servers, blue light flickering like dying stars. Elara staggered toward the console, her soaked hair clinging to her face. The flood had reached her knees. Every keystroke echoed through the empty halls. Core sequence terminated, the system droned. Warning, identity integrity compromised. Lines of code blurred across the glass display. Her name, Elara Voss, appeared, then slowly fragmented into static. She pressed her palm to the glowing screen, voice shaking. No more lies, no more ghosts. With a final command, she shut the veil down. Every screen in the facility flickered once, twice, then went black. The hum of machines faded, replaced only by the roar of the rain. The silence didn't last. Her reflection in the glass began to flicker, younger, older, vanishing, reappearing. Memories dissolved in reverse order. The first time she met Adrian, her mother's lullaby, the storm that started it all. Faces blurred, voices echoed backward. She gasped, clutching her head as pain lanced through her skull. "The system's deleting me," she whispered. "I'm becoming forgotten." She stumbled toward a recorder lying on the table, the same one she used to document her journey. The red light blinked faintly, waiting. Elara set it before her, trembling. "If anyone finds this..." My name was Elara. I wasn't perfect. I wasn't even whole. But I remembered enough to fight. Thunder cracked, shaking the room. The floodwaters surged higher, swallowing the floor. She lifted her necklace, the locket that started everything, and placed it beside the recorder. Maybe the rain remembers for us, maybe that's enough. A crash echoed from behind, collapsing steel, gushing water. The recorder's light flickered once more before shorting out. Then, a hand emerged from the darkness beneath the water, pale, trembling, reaching out and closing around it. They called her a ghost of the storm, a name without a past, a story no one could prove was real. But when the rain fell again, the same rhythm, the same sorrow, the city remembered her, even if the world said she never existed. Static hissed through a flickering television screen. A weary newscaster adjusted his notes, his voice trembling under the studio lights. After 6 months of investigation, officials have confirmed the collapse of the organization known as the Veil. No survivors were found in the facility, and all data related to its memory experiments has been lost. Behind him, drone footage played. The ruins of the Veil, swallowed by floodwater and moss, lightning flashing over the wreckage like flashes of forgotten dreams. Experts remain baffled by strange weather anomalies surrounding the site. Locals claim the rain hasn't stopped since that night. The camera cut to street footage. A figure walking alone beneath an umbrella. The city's neon lights shimmered across wet asphalt. She moved slowly, humming softly under her breath, the same melody Elara's mother once sang to her. Around her neck hung a silver locket, catching the light with each raindrop. She passed a darkened shop window and froze. Her reflection stared back, then flickered. For a split second, two faces overlapped in the glass, Elara as she was, and the other Elara who once lived beneath the veil. Their expressions merged, their eyes the same shade of storm gray. The reflection smiled, before returning to one face. Thunder rolled across the city skyline. She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small recorder, rusted, cracked, water damaged, yet somehow still working. She pressed play. "My name was Elara," the voice whispered through static. "And if you're hearing this, maybe I was real after all." Tears mingled with the rain as she walked on. Every drop seemed to ripple in rhythm with her steps. And for the first time since the flood, the storm softened, not ending, but listening. A distant puddle reflected her silhouette. Lightning struck, and for an instant the image glitched again, showing two Elaras walking side by side before merging into one. The locket shimmered. The rain fell harder, whispering her name. "Elara." She looked up, smiling faintly through the storm. The rain didn't just remember her, it remade her.